Everyone, Mike Lindstrom here, co-host of What's Your Story with my man, Scott Leese. Excited to bring you episode 22 with Pamela Hughes. Pamela Hughes, radio personality and life coach, executive coach. Before I tell you about Pamela, I hope you're enjoying the last few episodes. Kaylee O'Kelly, Nick Lowry, Kansas City Chiefs kicker, John J. Van Ness, nationally syndicated radio host. Great social media buzz we're getting. Want to make sure if you're listening, follow us. Follow. Very important. We're getting everybody on Apple, Spotify. We're getting our YouTube up to snuff as well as we speak. But most of the stuff, Spotify, Apple, make sure you hit the follow. All right? Make sure. All right. Pamela Hughes. I've known Pamela for 15 plus years. She was cracking the mic, as they say in Radio Land, for 20 plus years, telling the good news and the bad news. And I say it on purpose because it was in 2017. She was actually reporting on that horrible story in Las Vegas when it was at Mandalay Bay. It was that shooting at a concert where several people were killed. And shortly thereafter, she's reporting the news about a school shooting. And she has a daughter and who's young, and she was talking about negative things all the time. And she started to feel stuck in her career. And it was actually infecting like her mindset going into work. So she had stewed on this for a couple of years, and it wasn't until 2020, a few years later, that she quit her job. It's a great job. Everyone covets these kind of radio, TV gigs, but she knew in her heart it just wasn't there. And she started her own coaching practice, and she wanted to help other people get unstuck. In fact, that's the name of her program, Unstuck Your Life. Great for anyone out there if you feel stuck in your career, your life, relationships. Listen to Pamela in this episode 22. She's going to break down some techniques. We have to compare some coaching notes and see how she does her coaching out there. And I'm excited to have her on her show. Pamela Hughes. Welcome back to another episode. What's your story? This is Mike Lindstrom. That is Scott Leese, Austin, Texas, coming into Scottsdale. We have Pamela Hughes on today. I've known Pamela now, gosh, it's been at least 12 years. Hard to believe. I'm dating myself a little bit. Met through actually my wife when my wife was doing radio and television, mostly radio with KTR. And she's on to Greener Pastures, actually, beyond radio. Still does a lot of radio, but coaching, consulting, kind of in our world.
She has a great radio voice.
She does, by the way. Yeah. And you're going to hear that in a second.
You can hear it.
By the way, Pamela, thanks for coming on the show.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
And we ask, what's your story? So take us where you want to go. And we're going to jump into your life. We're going to go back and forth.
Yeah, well, there's Pittsburgh Pamela, which is very different than Phoenix Pamela.
Is that Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or Pittsburgh,
Pennsylvania?
California?
No, okay. It's PA. Okay. And blue collar, and Dad was in the steel mill, and all what you would imagine, right? And so I grew up there and loved the city, loved the people, but I wanted to change. And so we all have kids that are kind of going through that whole college phase right now. And I thought I'd go to Penn State. So my sister was, and I didn't get in.
Really?
I didn't get in. And I thought my world was over. You're devastated. Yeah. It's your dream school. And I decided at that point in time, I'm like, okay, no one's ever financially stable in college. Where do I want to go and be financially unstable?
I've never heard that filter.
That's great.
You know what? I'm like, I don't want there to be snow. I know that. If I'm not going to Penn State, I'm not going to snow. So I came out to ASU. So I wanted to be in broadcasting, and they have one of the best broadcast journalism schools in the country. So I made my way out to Tempe and spent, 5 years at ASU. And loved every moment of it.
Yeah.
Got a job out of college in Western Wisconsin. WCOW.
That was the first media gig.
That was my first media gig.
Right out of college.
Cal 97 FM.
Wow.
Back to the snow.
Back to the snow. Well, you know what? When you're in broadcasting, you got to take any gig you can get. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
It was very different then in the 90s. You have a lot of kids nowadays that will come out of Cronkite and will come out of these schools and go into the big markets. It didn't happen back then. You had to pay your dues. And so I paid my dues in Western Wisconsin. That was brutal. I would read obituaries on the air. We got $25 per obituary.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I know, neither did I until I'm like, okay, so after the newscast, you're reading obituaries, and this is
that a thing
odd.
everywhere? Is that just like a Western small town Wisconsin
Maybe it's
thing?
just a WCOW
never heard of that.
thing.
Okay,
yeah.
wow, okay.
So I was there for about a year. I did it wrong. I left Arizona in August and went to Wisconsin. So I was here for the summer. And then I left there in April. So I was there for the winter and came back here. And got back into radio. Those internships pay off. And I was hired, at the time, one of the youngest hired at KTAR.
Yes.
And worked my way up. And I was a reporter, I was an anchor, I was an editor, I was a managing editor. I filled in as news director multiple times. And then ultimately ended up being a talk show host and was one of only a handful of female talk show hosts in the country. And it was different. It was different. Like, I come from a journalism background: who, what, where, why, when, how, just the facts. You got to build a story around it, as y'all know. You got to have that story.
Yeah.
But you transfer from that to talk radio, where now you have to have an opinion, and not just an opinion, but a provocative opinion. And that was a huge transition for me, but I loved it. I loved it for a period of time. Yeah. You loved it until you didn't. And that didn't probably started in 2017, 2018. I think it was 2017, where there was the Vegas shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, to be honest, it sounds so morose, but I mean, it is what it is.
That?
Yeah. Because as a talk show, you're talking about everything that's happening locally, in the States, in the country, in the world. And it's news, so you're talking about what other people are talking about.
Yeah.
So, and I had one good, I said good, but I had one mass shooting in me a year. I could handle one mass shooting a year.
Wow.
And that year we had Vegas that was in October. And that was the largest mass shooting in U.S. history at the time. And then in December that year, there was a shooting in Texas at a church. And at that time, it was the largest mass shooting at a place of worship. And then 2 months later was Stoneman Douglas down in Parkland, California, at the high school. And that was the deadliest shooting at a high school at the time. And I got my feet underneath one shooting, and then there was another, and there was another. And then, you have all these things that are happening locally, kids bringing guns and murder suicides and all this stuff. And I remember one time cracking the mic, and this is before they did the whole YouTube, you can see people on TV, while you're broadcasting. It was seriously just us and the microphone. And I was on with my co-host at the time. We were getting word of breaking news of a school shooting. I don't even remember where it was. And we were catching people up to speed with what was happening, and then we went to a break. And in that break, what people don't realize, especially in radio, is you got 2 minutes. You got 3 minutes to eat as much information as you can, because you're the expert, right? People are tuning in to know what you know. And so you've got to have confidence. You've got to be informed. And so we're just getting as much information we can. And on our show, I was more of the fact-based person, journalism background, and my co-host was more like the color funny guy.
Was that Bruce?
Yes.
Okay.
And we came back, and he's like, all right, breaking news, yada, yada. Pamela, give us the very latest. And I was done. And I looked at him, I'm like, there's a girl that's dead, Bruce. And he looks at me like, wait, this wasn't part of the script. So there was a young lady, she was 13 years old, who woke up this morning worried about her math test and worried about, what her friends were doing that weekend. And she's not going home tonight. That's the breaking news. And he looked at me and he's like, okay. And he started going into the facts, because I was just done.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point, what am I doing? What am I doing? It was, news always had an impact on me, but I didn't realize how much until fast forward into 2018. There was I was at Walmart in Gilbert with my husband and my daughter. And because I was the managing editor and the news director for a period of time, I got all the news alerts from ABC National News, because they never took me off their email or their cell phone list. So whenever there was breaking news anywhere in the country, I got it before everybody else. And I'm in Walmart with my husband and my daughter, and I'm getting alerts of a shooting in El Paso, Texas, at a Walmart.
Wow. And
I'm in a Walmart in Arizona. And so just a few states over, you're looking at this going, okay. You start to think about it differently. Went to work that Monday, talked about the shooting in Texas for 3 hours. Tuesday, we're talking about what to do if you're in a big box store and they're shooting and all the things. Well, that Wednesday, I had to go back to that same Walmart to get my daughter her birthday gift. There was something that she wanted that she found that weekend. You can't buy it when the kid's there, right?
Yeah.
So I had to go back, and I wasn't even thinking, like, the shooting wasn't even on my mind, but your body keeps score.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled into the Walmart parking lot, and I had my first panic attack ever.
Wow.
And that was that wake-up call of, I knew, reporting on the negative things that are happening in this world was having an impact on me, but I didn't know how much until that moment. And at that point, I'm like, something's got to give. And I was like, all right, I gotta do something different. And I'd been to therapy before. I'm not opposed to therapy.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for me.
Yep.
And a friend said, you got to get a coach, like a life coach.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, 2019, 2018. And I'm like, what the hell is a life coach? Seriously?
It's a great question.
And I was desperate. And so I said, okay. Like, I was desperate to try anything. And that one decision absolutely changed my life, changed my perspective, changed my life. And so much so that, like, I walked away from a 20-year career in broadcasting where, I had the paycheck, I had the notoriety, I had the familiarity to help other people take back the power that they were unknowingly giving away.
Who's your coach?
My coach was Brooke Castillo.
Local?
No. It was all online and everything.
What was the introduction? How did you get?
Online. It was made by a friend who had worked with her before. And so I started listening to some of her podcasts. I read her book. And then I got in touch with her team. And yeah, it changed everything.
Yeah, I did. Monica told me when you were leaving, and I'm like, what? I was shocked. She literally, because he's from Texas, he doesn't know the local media. He's getting to know everybody because we've had like John Jay was on.
Okay.
John Jay was on.
Met almost everybody.
He's met almost everybody.
It's like, okay, I know everybody here.
Scott Passmore's been on.
Lovely.
And you're such a mainstay. It's like Pamela Brew. That's like what? And then I said, well, what the hell is she going to do? And he's like, you're going to love this one. Because, I do executive
Yes,
coaching.
absolutely.
She's like coaching. And I'm like, oh my God. I knew I'm like, she's going to be amazing at it. But my brain was like, how do you go from this 20-year, I didn't know how many, I knew that was your life, to this. That's a big pivot.
Huge
I had
pivot.
no idea this, I didn't know that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big deal.
It was a huge pivot. And, like life coach has become more ubiquitous now than it has been in years, but it still has a connotation.
It does.
And, I want to call it something else, but then people don't know what that is.
It's hard.
Dude,
every year
I'll be honest, I was embarrassed to tell people what I was doing.
100%. I have clients that don't tell them I'm their secret weapon.
Yeah.
They don't tell you're my secret weapon. I don't tell them I have a coach.
No.
I'm like, that's fine. That's fine.
And I still remember being embarrassed to tell the people who, I worked with at the radio station what I was about to do.
So funny how that stigma still sticks with us.
Yeah.
2020.
Well, especially when you say life coach, because there's still in our world, there's no true certification.
Yep.
They have companies that it's a money grab.
Yeah.
You can go to any of them, and I know them all. I know the coaches that are there, and the guys that started the companies. They're great.
But
it's a
anybody
money
can
grab.
Proclaim.
Yeah, but it's not
now a
like
life
law
coach.
school, med school, therapy.
Yep.
That's completely certified. So in our world, you can just go, your world too, bro.
Yeah,
you just go hang a shield up and say, hey, I'm a coach because I started $1 million company, or I know how to pivot out of pain.
Got people who were in sales for 6 months that go proclaim themselves to be a sales consultant, guru, or whatever. It's the same.
Yeah, so that's a big, I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. How did you, was it immediate? Were you like, okay, I'm 6 months into this coaching relationship. Not only am I benefiting from it, but this is what I'm going to do. What was that moment for you? You said, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it wasn't immediate because, as you know, coaching isn't an immediate fix. It's a relationship, and you got to test out the things that you're learning to see if they actually impact you. And so for me, there were some changes that were happening at the station that I became aware of. And through my coach, it's so ironic, and not ironic, but strange. And I'm sure you encounter this as well with coaching. The simple things. It's like those simple ahas of like, wow, no one ever told me that, or wow, I never saw it that way. They're not these huge, complicated frameworks. They're like these simple things. And I remember we were driving to Tucson for a soccer tournament, and I remember like getting off the phone with my coach, and I looked at my husband and I was like, I get to decide what I do with my life.
Yeah.
And he's driving and he looks at me and he's like,
Traffic.
yeah.
Big profound thought showed up.
And I'm like, no, like I get to choose what happens next. Yeah.
Yes,
and I'm like, no, but you don't understand. Like I've never seen it that way. So much of my life, you know, again, being born and raised in Pittsburgh and blue collar, like you work hard. You know, it's that hard work ethic. It's you put in the time, the energy, you work hard, you're going to get rewarded. And to a certain degree, I had been, right? It was that whole get good grades, get into a good college. You know, when you get into college, then you got to get the job. And after you get the job, you find the person. You find the person, you buy the house. You buy the house, you have the kid. You have the kid, you get the promotion. You know, like all those things. Like it'll be better when, it'll be better when,
Yeah.
it'll be better when. And to a certain degree, it is, right? There are those moments where it does feel better, and then it goes away. And you start chasing the next thing to feel that fulfillment. And I realized at that point, like I had been chasing this fulfillment all my life, thinking that the external circumstances, again, the degree, the job, the money, the thing was going to make me feel fulfilled. And in that moment, I'm like, wait, I get to decide. Like, I am the one that makes me feel fulfilled, not these things outside of me. And like, whew, you want to talk about like a paradigm change? And that's where it's like, wait, I get to decide. And so my husband and I had a long conversation about what is it I want to do. And when he was in total support of it, he wanted me to get out of news for a while because he saw what was happening before I did.
Wow.
That's got to help.
Oh, gosh,
Rather
yes.
than
Yeah,
hinder.
big
I mean,
time.
Absolutely. To
if
have
your
that kind of
partner is
support.
like, I don't know if you should
He's
do
like,
that.
what the hell are you doing?
Right,
That's
right.
not a good answer
Right.
either.
You've
not
worked
good.
your entire adult life for this,
Right.
you know? Like, what are you doing walking away? You're at the top of your game.
Yeah.
And so to have that kind of support, yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, it was probably 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months or so afterwards.
When
where I
you
pulled the
committed,
trigger.
was that a 1 year commitment to the coaching, 6 months? What was your term when you got coaching? When you first got hired her?
Oh, yeah. It was 6 months.
6 months,
Yeah.
typical. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was after that first 6 months you're starting to have those ahas. Wow. So what was the thing what was her, I mean, she probably has many philosophies or tenets like we all do, but what was one of her big tenets that she taught you during that first 6 months that got you to that 8 month where you're like, okay, she's been telling me this, but this is, now it's hitting. What was it?
Discomfort is the currency of your dreams.
Yeah.
For so long, I thought, like, if I was uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it should be easy. Not that it should be easy. I never had the thought that it should be easy. I always had the thought it shouldn't be this hard. And if it was hard, if it was uncomfortable, then I must be missing something. Then I must be doing something
it wrong somehow.
Yeah. Like doing it wrong. And when I had the aha of like, no, it actually means you're doing it right. Because you're growing, you're evolving, you're taking risks, you're stepping outside of that comfort zone. And that's how you grow, that's how you transform. And that was like, oh, okay. So then I would put myself in really uncomfortable situations. And I wouldn't necessarily like look forward to them, but I didn't resist them as much as I had before because I'm like, oh no, this means I'm doing something right, not wrong.
That's so. When you first learned that, so Tony Robbins was my mentor, of course, when I got out of law school. So he was my first boss, and his quote, is, "It's on your edge of your comfort zone, your destiny lies." That's his thing. So anytime the coaches, after I was on the speaking team, then went to the coaching team when he built that company in 2000, Robbins' old partnership. And when the coaches would all powwow and Tony would come in and teach, he would say to us, whenever somebody was frustrated or whatever, in that only Tony way, he's like, "Oh, that's awesome," and you're like, "Dude, F you, like I'm going through some stuff here, right?" That's not his frame. His frame was like, dude, you're about to have a breakthrough. If you're frustrated, that means you're about to have a breakthrough. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You guys aren't listening. You're going to coach people and do the stuff that I teach. It's on the edge of your comfort zone that your destiny lies. But I was 20 years old, so I didn't get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You didn't have the life experience for it at
Zero.
that point.
Didn't own a home, didn't have kids, wasn't married. So I'm sitting here coaching people who have all these life experiences, which is my limiting belief.
Yep.
How can I coach people that I don't have this stuff? But it was the psychology part that really took to me. And that was a big one that stuck with me as well, was the comfort zone. So I've learned, now we say in the desert, give the cactus a hug. Just give it a hug. Just give it a hug.
That's a
just
good
fucking
one.
just hug it.
Give the cactus a hug.
Give the cactus a hug. But that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just hug it.
Yeah.
And my clients hate to hear that stuff.
Everyone is. Everybody's been trained their whole life to avoid pain.
Yes.
That's what we're wired. It's fight or flight, right? Yeah. It's hard wiring. It's hard.
Absolutely, it is.
So now you're coaching that to your clients.
Yeah. And it's so rewarding. I mean, to go from telling people what's wrong in their community, in their world, right? All the negative things that are happening, to helping them find what's right in their own world.
Yeah. Instead of being the bearer of bad news all the time.
Yeah.
Now you're.
So how many years is it? Yeah, is it 7 years you've been doing this now?
6, February 14th, 2020.
Man.
My goal.
Time flies, man.
My goal was to get out before the election of 2020.
Okay.
That was my goal.
Get out of the news?
Get out of the news.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to go through another election cycle. Things had changed in the 4 years.
I hadn't noticed.
They've only changed so much more.
Oh my
Good
God.
night.
Can you imagine now being in the news?
Holy! I go back and I fill in. I still play in the sandbox every now and again.
I saw that. I saw that. That's
and
awesome.
I love it. Like I love being able to go back when I want to and do it.
Get out when you want.
Yeah, and yes, I can. No, I can't. And still have my finger on the pulse there. But it would be a grind. And in 2020, again, I got out February of 2020, and then the world shut down in March.
Yeah, like 2 weeks after your.
Yeah.
Insane.
Right?
I think about that too, because our mutual friends that are still on, like Bruce is still doing it. Mac, Gatos, all the Gatos later, Larry, I don't know how it's a skill to be able to have that. And I know them personally, like you do. So you know where they believe, like off camera, like their politics or whatever. But to get on the camera in this day and age and try to play it down the middle is so hard. It's like another film. You couldn't just be yourself. You can't, you know what it's like? That's to me where you get frustrated. As a speaker, I hate when I have to get on stage and talk about something they don't really want to talk about, or I don't know it really well, because I'm filtering. I just want to let it rip. Like this is why we're doing this. We just let it rip.
The other weird part now is no matter what you say, you're going to get killed for.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter what you say. Right. You play right down the middle, somebody's going to crush you for being too
you didn't
left,
stand
too
up.
right.
You didn't take a stand for that. Why didn't you take a stand for that?
And it's brutal because it used to be like they would call and complain to someone, and okay, fine, whatever, and it would just kind of be filtered, and then they would send you emails.
Keyboard warrior now.
And now it's like with social media and Twitter and all of, like Twitter's was the bane of my existence back in the day, but it's unfiltered, and I don't think what people realize is like in so many different situations, not just in news, but just in general. You look at what actors and others are going through. People who have, I don't want to say high profile, but who...
Platform.
Yeah, they're people too. They have hard times. They internalize. They have to process all of these things that people are saying. You think, they're on TV, they're on the radio, they're in the movies, they have thicker skin. This comes with the territory. Says who?
Yeah.
Says who?
Yeah.
And having to learn how
to navigate that. What training did they get? They didn't get any.
There's none.
They didn't get any.
There's absolutely none.
No.
That's so true.
And they're human. So we've become very divisive, and it's scary.
So many people have told me locally that I know that, like yourself, that have had the same feeling. I was with Christy Siefkin the other day. She's now doing public speaking and has her own brand, and she's told me about that. It just got different, and people left the news for these kind of, and I never knew that. I never knew this. And, I'd say we're friends. I never knew that was the reason. I just thought, she's had her time. She wanted to do something cool and contribute to the world. But the pain that you feel, it's almost like you have to, I don't say you have to, but I still listen to the guys on the radio.
Yeah, me too.
Bruce, how's he do it? Yeah. Does he have thick skin? Does he just have to disassociate from it? I don't know, but it's hard.
Yeah, we all process differently. And being a female in a male-dominated industry, I was struggling with a lot of these things. I was struggling with, reporting on a school shooting and then going and picking up my daughter. Yes. And at the time, nobody around me could relate to that. They were a bunch of dudes who didn't have kids.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right. Because Monica used to tell stories of these guys can't relate.
They can't relate to it.
It's so true.
And so, I would kind of tiptoe in and be like, is this bothering you? Are you struggling with this? which was very vulnerable, right? To ask somebody that. And you get that, no, I'm like, it is what it is. You know, you compartmentalize it, and you're like, okay. So you back off. Wow. You don't ask. Yeah. And so you internalize it a lot. And I really struggled. And I still remember, I talked about it on air once, and there was a PIO, a public information officer for Phoenix Police, who would come in and do a lot of work on our show. So I got to know him personally. And then one day, he and I were in the lobby, and he says, I thought about you the other day at one of our meetings. And I'm like, okay, why? And he said, they found on the force those that struggle the most emotionally, mentally, like with what they're seeing, right? Because you figure cops are dealing with people on their worst days.
Yeah.
Yes.
All day, every day.
Every day. Mm-hmm. Look at news. What was I doing? I was reporting on people's worst days every day. And he said, they found on the force that it was the public information officers who struggled the most. Not the people in the door first. They witnessed it, but at some point in time, they were able to remove themselves from it. The public information officer has to tell the same story over and over and over and over again. And he goes, that's what you do. You tell the same horrific story over and over and over again. And then it dawned on me, like, especially right now in today's climate, when the news gets really tough, which it doesn't take much to find
that. Is it ever not tough right now?
Right.
Yeah.
But what do you do? You turn it off.
Turn it off.
I couldn't.
I just pushed my,
That's when I had to turn it on.
Yeah.
Wow.
And at that point in time, I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore.
All right, there's two things. Number one is your voice is amazing. Monica knows I have like the crush on your voice. This is the best radio voice ever.
I gotta do something else with it, right? I gotta work on it. Yeah.
It's the best.
Thank you.
In the country. Like, best
be a
ever.
voice actor.
I should start doing some of that stuff.
You should.
Or at least voiceovers.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Have you not done that?
No.
Oh my God.
Gotta get an agent or something.
Girlfriend, you gotta do that. I thought you would have already done something like that.
You gotta be like a Pixar character.
Oh man.
Voice.
100%. So that's number one. I got to get that off the table.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
We'll take care of it for you.
Okay, you let me know.
Yeah,
I'll
let you know.
100%. I got to know, did that happen when you were younger? Did somebody say, whoa, you got a voice?
Oh.
Did that happen? At what point was that moment of truth for you when you were younger?
Two stories for you there. Yep. So I cheered in high school, and I distinctly remember we were at an away game, and it was before the game, and I walked over to the concession stand to get like a glass of water or a Coke or something like that. And I walk up, and I ordered it, and this woman just stops and looks at me up and down and goes, I didn't expect that voice to come out of that body. And I was like, okay. I mean, at like 17, I had no idea what to do with that. And then there was another instance where, late at night, you don't talk, your voice gets kind of raspy, and, it's when we all had landlines, right? And the phone rings, pick it up, I'm like, hello? Frank! No, this is his youngest daughter. You want my dad? Let me get him for you. Oh, you sound just like your dad. Awesome, thanks. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it was unique.
Yes.
Until, like, I really came out to Arizona.
Sing?
No.
Not at all?
I can sing, but I wouldn't.
Like, you go up
low.
or down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You're a cheerleader.
I'm not even
in high school, huh?
Uh-huh.
Did you cheer in college or?
No.
Monica did. She's a Jack.
No.
Go Jacks.
I did not know that.
Yes. You didn't know that?
I'm learning new things.
Every time anytime you would ever say anything about up north or NAU, she would always do this. Go Jacks. Go Jacks. Go Jacks. She was a cheerleader at NAU.
I love that.
So I didn't know if you were. I don't know if I knew that you were a cheerleader. Maybe Monica had told me that, but I didn't know if you had any singing or voice. But your voice is so amazing. I knew there had to be a story there somewhere from that. All right, so I want to hear about the coaching. What are some of your tenets? Like coach us, not coach us, but like, all right, Mike and Scott, here's the three things that I stand on that are my things.
Yeah.
What are your tenets?
I stand on 80%, the 80% rule.
Mm-hmm.
At times, it depends on the audience that I'm in front of. Like, I'll call it the B- rule. And pretty much that is like, be okay with B- work. Be okay with 80% work. It doesn't need to be 100%. And the reason being because so many of the leaders I work with get stuck in that procrastination, perfectionism loop, right? If it's not perfect, which it never is, We wait. We got to plan more. We got to do this. We're procrastinating. And because we're procrastinating, it never gets better because you're chasing something that doesn't exist. And so we go into this loop. So I have the 80% rule.
The 80% rule is super applicable for people who need to delegate stuff.
Yes.
By the way. Because part of the reason you don't delegate is because that it's not coming back to you in this like great way.
Absolutely.
So you have to tell people, don't expect it to be great. Just expect it to be started.
Yeah.
So many of my clients as well, where they're like, this person doesn't do it the way that I do it. And I'm like, they never are.
Yeah. Just give me some 80%. Give me a B-.
Yeah. And even like if they're at 70, can you coach them up to an 80? You don't need to coach them up to 100.
Yeah.
Just like let 80% be enough. That's one of my big things, because it's also because I fall into the perfectionism trap, and I fall into like the over planning. Like I got to have it all figured out before I take that first step, with something that really has hindered me. And so for me, it's just like, no, what's the smallest step? Like small steps will get you there.
Yep.
And that's the big thing, because a lot of people try to, especially like this time of year, new year, new me, right? So we're going to overhaul my entire life. And that's why nobody really follows through on the resolutions, because it's too much too fast.
Yeah.
But it's not the intensity, it's the consistency.
Yeah. Do you know about the whole Blue Monday thing? The whole third Monday? That's such BS. I understand it because they say it's cold, it's dark, credit debt from the holidays, there's nothing to look forward to. You're already falling off your resolutions, all that stuff. That's why the gym's parking lots are full. And then that third Monday, you're like, dang, I was going to start over again. How do you coach around that?
You're not starting over, you're starting from experience.
Yeah.
I think through anything in life, you're not starting over. You have experience that you've got to reflect on and own. And I think so often we're not taught to do that. We're taught to, gap and gain, okay? We're taught to a wonderful book out there by Dan Sullivan called The Gap and the Gain.
Dan Sullivan's great.
And so visually, because I'm a visual learner, think about a mountain, right? You're on a mountain, and at the top of the mountain, at the summit, is your goal. We always got to have goals. You got to have something that you're working towards that gives you direction. And you're on the mountain, somewhere on the mountain, maybe at the bottom, maybe at the top. If you're measuring how far you need to go to reach that goal, you're in what's called the gap. So I still have to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to figure this out, and I got to delegate that, and I got to call this person, and it's overwhelming. It's frustrating. Versus you're on the mountain, same thing, same goal, but you turn around and you look how far you've come. And you go, I've learned this, and I've learned that, and I've changed this, and I've done this, and I've done that. And that's full of abundance and hope and empowerment. Same goal, same place. How are you measuring success? Are you measuring it forward in the gap, or are you measuring it backward in the gain?
Yeah.
And I think that is the huge part of it. Is it perfect? No. Is it... do you still have something to do and somewhere to go? Yeah, absolutely. You always are. Because even when you reach that summit, you're going to look and go, there's the next mountain I got to cover. There's the next one. And that's the whole, better when thinking and chasing those things outside of you, thinking they're going to make you feel better, instead of going, wait, no. Look how far I've come.
That's funny. The Dan Sullivan, is that where you got the mountain metaphor? So I think Dan Lear was my mentor that worked for Tony. Dan Lear hired me. He was Tony Robbins' right-hand guy. He's a big Sullivan guy. Oleg Bandino, some of the old school guys, Brian Tracy. And I always had that. When I was younger, like 20s and 30s, I liked to hike peaks. I did Mount Whitney in California, up and down. It was fun. Did a couple 14s, and I always, same thing. Even when I was climbing, I always stop and look down and go,
yes,
how many other people have done this? Like, this is pretty effing cool. Like, I'm at 10,000 feet or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But that metaphor is true, because I think a lot of people, I call it the action gap is what I call it. Same thing.
Yep.
Here's where you want to go. Here's where you're at. Okay, boom, here's where the action gap is. We got to figure out the how to get to that point. It's the same thing. But I think a lot of people it's like that mountain they put it up there way too high. That's why the resolutions, oh my God, I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Oh,
or I'm going to quit alcohol forever. I'm like, all right. Try that out. See how that goes. Even Alcoholics Anonymous will tell you got 86% chance of relapse. So people don't chunk it down. That's the hard part, right?
Huge part of it.
Yeah.
Huge part of it. Like I say you have a project, and a project is anything that has multiple tasks, right? Anything that's going to take you more than like half hour is a project. And so you got to break it down into like, okay, what are all the tasks that I got to take in order to complete this project? And the example I use is like painting a room. You don't just decide, this weekend I'm going to paint this room. You have to go, okay, well, what colors do I want? You got to get inspo. Then you got to go to the store and get the paint. Then you got to paint it on the wall. Then you got to see it in different light. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to go buy all the supplies. Now I got to move everything out of the office. And then I got to tape it all off. And then I start painting.
I'm overwhelmed already.
I am too. I hate painting. But,
But
you're
it's like
right.
you got
You're
to chunk it
absolutely
down.
right.
But if I'm like, okay, today your task is.
I got that one. I got it.
Yeah.
Get the color. Pick out the color.
Yeah.
Go to the paint store.
All like those little tasks, those little steps are going to
handle
get you
that.
there.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
Give me the whole
Will.
list. Overwhelm.
Yeah.
Give me
That's-
one thing for today.
Yeah.
I got this.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
What about influences? Books, favorite books, influences, things that you study, seminars you've been to that had
Yeah.
influence on your coaching career? What would you say?
Byron Katie.
Yeah.
Loving What Is probably was such a huge, profound book for me, and it came at a great time. So her whole, I mean, it's all philosophy, right? It's all philosophy and how you apply it. Her whole philosophy is, every time you argue with reality, you lose 100% of the time.
100%.
And at first I was like, okay, well, I mean, intellectually you can understand that. But when it comes to like, how do you emotionally understand that in your life? I read the book and it was like, no, this should be happening. Whatever's happening in your life should be happening. Why? Because it is. You can argue with it, but if you argue with it, you're going to lose only 100% of the time. And at that time, my dad was going through cancer treatments. And you want to talk about like a mental mind shift when you're like, no, he's supposed to have cancer. Why? Because he does. And what that allowed me to do is stop resisting what's actually happening. And it gave me the freedom to like show up and be loving and be supportive with a different energy than this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening to you?
Surrender instead of resistance.
Yeah.
But when you think of surrender, I don't know. For me, surrender has like a negative connotation. I don't surrender.
Not for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I've grappled with this
Yeah.
for a while because surrender to me for so long has meant give up.
Yeah. That's how I used to believe it.
Yeah.
My belief's different now, but I used to believe the same thing.
And so
We
it's
talk a
taken
lot
me a
about that.
while
Yeah.
to get to that. Like surrender is just allowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for the longest it meant giving up. I'm like, I don't give up.
Yeah.
But if you just
Yeah.
allow, it's different. And so at that point in time in my life, the Dan Sullivan, the gap and the gain, again, with my dad's cancer treatment, the goal was to get him cancer free. And you look at like, okay, we got to do this. We got to call this doctor. We got to do this treatment. We got to do this. You got to eat this. Da, 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 da. How far we got to go? Instead of being on the mountain, turning around and going, oh my gosh, yeah, cancer sucks. But because he has it, he moved from Pittsburgh to Phoenix. And I've had so many more lunches and
Right.
dinners and
Yeah.
conversations
sure.
and moments
Yeah.
that I never would have had. I had more time
So
with
much more
him.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I had more time with him during like that time of my life
Quality
than I
time,
did since I left for ASU when I was 18. So it's about, and I know Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. Like, I think his is wherever focus goes, energy flows. Yeah, and I'm like, you find what you're looking for. If you're looking for all the things that suck,
Yeah.
you're gonna find them.
Yeah.
But if you, and it's human nature, right? It's just the way we're wired. But if you're looking at all the things that are going right or all the things that are going well, which we're not conditioned to do, but you could do it just as much as you look for the wrong, you start to find them.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
how beautiful is this
It's
that I
work.
get to
You
do
just
this
have
with
to do
him?
that work.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. My family is from Buffalo, Niagara Falls, New York.
Okay.
My dad worked in the steel mills.
Yeah.
All that. The default attitude is like, we don't deserve anything good. Everything's falling apart. It's just like nonstop, like immediate pessimism.
Yep.
All the time. And I've noticed in my life, like I filter sometimes that way. Whatever happens, the very first thought is like, oh fuck, right? And so part of the work that I do to try to work to fix this and change the way I operate is I do this gratitude journal. And then every day when I go in the sauna, I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for today.
Love it.
And I have to not repeat. I try to have to write.
Something new each time.
Yes. And sometimes you're like, well, I like my socks. I'm grateful for my son. Like you run out of things to say. That you're like
But
my
you're
health.
doing it,
I'm
though.
like, I already said my health, right? And it just forces you to try to like filter the world so differently. It's not easy.
No.
At least for me, it has not been easy.
It's not. It's
And I have to. I can't just do it. So I'm like, I have to literally write it every day.
I think that's the hardest thing. You probably see this too in coaching. You know what's on the calendar for the week. You know what your Sunday plan should be. You know you should be grateful. But and your brain checks the boxes. I know what's on my goal plan for 26. I already know it. Like memorized it. But you got to pull it out and you got to look at it and you got to read it and you got to write shit down. And if you don't, you're just skipping it. You're skipping over it.
Just
You're
doesn't get
skipping
done
over
that
the
day.
gratitude. You're skipping over the plan. You're skipping over the gap. You got to force
And
yourself
it's way
to do
easier to coach other people to do all this shit than to do it
it.
yourself.
100%.
Oh, we're all human.
100%.
You
I mean,
know?
that's why like every coach should have a coach. You
I
know
know,
what I
100%.
mean? If they don't, then there's a bit of an issue because we all
100%
have
agree
blind
with that.
spots.
Yep.
Things that I can't see. And I mean, one of the reasons why I coach on what I coach is because I've been there. You know, I know what I need to do. One of the things I coach on a lot is knowing what you need to do and not doing it. Like
Shoulds.
having the
Tony
plan.
calls them shoulds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
the
have the
shoulds.
plan. You know what you need to do. Why
Yeah.
aren't you doing it?
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
because that was me.
Yeah.
I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this. But why aren't I doing it? And it's that resistance and it's that curiosity
Yeah.
that you have to get into in order to make those changes.
Do you have a niche? As a male, women, elder entrepreneur, spiritual? Like what?
I'm going to be honest with you. Like I've had a challenge with this.
Yeah.
A challenge like finding
Defining
your ideal
it.
customer profile. almost.
Defining
Your
it
niche.
because I started off really broad and like unstuck your life, which
Sure.
I mean, it's general,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
when you know in sales and in marketing, if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one, right?
it's
Like
not
what
great.
does that mean?
Yeah.
So I'm right now. It's defined as like business leaders who know what they need to do but can't do it.
Yep.
So they are delaying, they're avoiding, they're second guessing, and it's costing them respect and leads and opportunities.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my clients see me like as a business coach. I don't define myself as a business coach.
Yep.
I've got like clients that are so diversified, right? I've got a global exercise oncology nonprofit and a spray foam insulation business. I don't know what they should be doing in their business, but what I have found is it's about what's going on up here that's preventing them from doing what they need to do in their business.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one for you. This
Yeah.
is a coach question. 'Cause I get asked this a lot, and I love this question. The hardest type of person to coach. Be specific.
Be specific.
I'll go first. Just an example. Younger male, like a 22-year-old male, 21-year-old male. They don't have a kid. They don't have marriage. They don't have responsibilities. They don't have a real purpose outside of themselves. They think they know it all. As the toughest client. And I like coaching them, by the way. But that's the toughest client. CEOs, no problem.
Oh, they're open.
Women, no
Yeah.
problem. But
I wasn't
that young
gonna say
male,
that. I was going to
forget
say.
it.
I was going to say other coaches. Other coaches for me are the hardest.
Yeah.
I'm okay with 22-year-old.
Why?
I'll put that up there too. But
Well, a lot of the I know it all thing.
I already know
I've
that.
already
I read
done
that
that.
book.
I've
I know
tried
that
that.
philosophy.
Yeah.
I do it this way or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not
For me,
that
maybe
way
it's
at
my
all.
own thing.
You're very coachable. I'm very coachable. But I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. But I said, like, from a demographic perspective, you said, Mike, who's the ones that you really don't want to spend a lot of time and energy on? I've had to really work hard on that belief system about that individual. Now I'm giving them a hug. I'm creating a program this year for young professionals.
Oh,
it's male
good.
and women,
It's needed.
male and girls. But the female audience is like, I can't wait. The male audience is like, I don't know if I need that.
I can see that.
And I'm like, guys,
that.
trust me, your dad called
Yeah.
me
They're
and
still-
said, you need this.
They're still in the mode of white knuckling everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bulletproof.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
I'd say for me, I don't know if it's necessarily like a specific demographic like that, but it's the people that come to me and expecting me to make decisions for them. Just tell me what
Show
to
me
do.
the way. Show me the
Tell
way.
me what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, that's not my job. Like, let me explain what coaching
not the way
is,
it works.
right? This is not tell me what to do in my life. It's like, what's going on up here that's creating the results for you? You're the expert on your life. You're the expert on you. And it's tapping into that wisdom and getting curious about why we're behaving a certain way and what are we doing. And I spoke and I had a young lady who hopped on a consult with me and she point blank asked me, should I leave my job? What do you think? No, I want to know what you think.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll tell you what I think, but you got to tell me what you think first. And then we dove into it. And I said, what I think is that you want me to make that decision for you so that you don't have to deal with the responsibility.
Yeah,
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Of making that decision. But this is your life, and you're on the hook for everything. And she just was like, whoa, okay. But like that's folks who aren't open to taking responsibility for their life are the ones that I find are the most difficult. And they're the ones I try to weed out, early on because it's just not going to work.
Yeah. A favorite quote that you live by?
A favorite quote that I live by? I'll tell you that, like, discomfort is the currency of your dreams. I keep bringing that one up, but that's one that I...
Do you impart that to your daughter?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So I've got a 16-year-old daughter who... I don't know what's up with kids these days. They're so much more advanced, and they do so much more.
They have information coming at them.
Man, that like the way she handles situations like blows me away. I'm like, I never would have done that when I was 16. But in the space that she's in with competitive soccer, she's had to put herself into a lot of uncomfortable situations where she doesn't know anyone, and she's got to perform at a high level and super uncomfortable. Right? And you can get in your head a lot about those things. So going, no. Like, you're doing things right. If you're uncomfortable and you're nervous, it doesn't mean something has gone wrong. It means you're doing something big. You're taking risks, and that's how you're growing and evolving.
You're right about the kids. My youngest son, he had a recent girlfriend breakup.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. He's had one before, and he was pretty into her, I would say, but she was it was younger in the relationship. And they met at a coffee shop, and it happened. She did the breakup, I guess. And I said, buddy, are you okay? He's like, I'll be all right, Dad. I just need to process it. He's like that. I said, well, what'd you do? Like, what'd you say? He goes, well, Dad, I shook her hand. And I said, it was nice while it lasted. And I walked right out of the coffee shop.
Oh.
I was 14. I'm like, I told Monica the story. She's like, are you serious? Like, I would never have done that at 14. I'm like,
I can't do that now.
I know, right? I know.
I go, Cole, you literally shook her hand and said it was nice while it lasted. And you walked in. He's like, yeah, that's what I said, Dad. Are you proud of me? I'm like, yeah, effing
blown
really
away by you, buddy.
But I couldn't even do that. I'm 53 years old, and I can't imagine having that. Yeah. But the kids are exposed to certain things. Whether I don't know if he saw a webinar, or he saw something on TikTok, but
also
the information.
But he also has you. Like,
I would have never told him to say that. That's not me.
He has you, and I know your wife, and that's what you're modeling certain behavior for him.
Yeah.
And whether or not you realize it, like, kids just soak that stuff up.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for that one, but I got to give Colt the credit. I'm like, buddy, that was amazing. But you're right. I'm blown away when I'm around the friends, the kids. Mm-hmm. I would be around your daughter, and equally I'd be, Pamela, where is she getting this from? Like, I don't know how I just assume because social media, they're exposed to things that we just didn't have. You know?
Yeah, but I was the parent who didn't get her a phone until she was 13.
Good for you.
And she didn't have social media until she was 14.
What do you let her on certain things or not now?
Yeah, so now she's got TikTok and she's got Instagram. She does not have Snapchat. Okay. And that has been...
That's a big one.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Mom, everyone's like, it's all taking place on Snap, and everyone's asking for my Snap and everything. I'm like, hey... It's cool to be weird, like, like just it is what it is.
Our kids was TikTok. Monica was like, no TikTok. This is, and even to this day. Now everything now gets translatable. They can be on Instagram,
exactly,
they see a TikTok video, but they don't have TikTok accounts to this day, and that was more Monica.
Fighting a losing battle, though.
I know, but they tell me like, Dad, you're on everything. I'm like, guys, it's part of my job. I shoot a podcast. That's how I market myself. Yep. I don't sit there and brain rot scroll. Like they do. I mean, we've talked about this, bro. They sit there, and it blows my mind that their attention span is 1.2 seconds or whatever that thumbnail says. Yeah. Which is why people like us that are trying to brand ourselves, it's not the content. Like this podcast can be kick-ass. Yep. But if that thumbnail,
1.2 seconds
that thumbnail isn't killer or that hook isn't killer, right? It's hard.
Yeah. It's so hard.
All right, so we do rapid fire, and then you get to brag on what you want to brag on.
Oh, okay,
how we get to find you, coaching, whatever. So, the biggest influence, you've already talked about that one. We always have the Super Bowl's coming up. So, who you got for the Super Bowl?
I don't even know who's in the Super Bowl.
You don't? Okay.
Great answer.
No, seriously, like
Patriots and Seahawks.
That's Patriots have it enough.
Forgettable.
So Seahawks, right?
Let's go Seahawks.
See chickens. That's default.
Mike and I debate this. Are you a texter or a phone call person?
I used to be a phone call person. Totally used to be a phone call person. Now I'm a texter.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Now I'm a texter.
I finally found somebody on my team.
Yeah.
Damn it. Dude, if I called your voicemail, would I get your voicemail?
You'd get my voicemail.
Is your voice?
It is my voice.
Is it full?
I don't think so.
You sure?
I think my voicemail actually is, if you want to get a hold of me faster, text me.
And you,
Yeah. I genuinely.
That's literally my voicemail.
I think that's what it says. It's like, hey, you can leave a message,
I
but if you
feel
want to get in touch
so
with me quickly,
vindicated.
text me.
when you guys
She has a
exchange
friend now.
information,
Friend for life.
You're going to get his cell phone. I want you to call him at some point randomly because his
you
cell
can
phone.
call him. I don't even know what
His
mine is. I think it's
voicemail
what it is.
basically says, do us both a favor. Don't leave me a voicemail because I don't check it. Just send me a text. That's his voicemail.
Yeah. I feel weird leaving people voice messages
know.
now because I don't think they listen to them.
No, I-
Nobody
It feels
does.
intrusive.
I listen to them. I'm still going to
Aw,
be.
look
I
at
know.
you.
I love you both.
You're-
I love you both.
you're still
I'm not
stuck.
changing.
I
I'm
know,
old.
I
I'm
know.
old. I'm 53. It is what it is. Oh, man. All right. So any advice for us? That's what I say. Because it's not often we get a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm serious. Like, what's your advice? You've been in media well ahead of our time. We've only been doing this for 90 days. So we just figured we have a
You've only been doing this for 90 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
This is
job,
our third.
guys.
This is our third time convening. Third time.
Third time, yeah.
Third time
You're like
convening.
episode 20-ish.
All right.
So give us some coaching.
On the media side
No,
of
just like
things?
here's what's going to happen. Here's what you need to do because we're going to continue. Where this isn't like we're going to just doing this for fun. We're committed to this.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's always that evolution. So it's about growing and evolving, taking the feedback that you're given and take what works for you and leave the rest. Like, if you get comments or you get other guidance that's going on, don't get lost in it. It's what aligns with what you want to do and what's going to grow you and what's going to evolve this podcast. Everything else put behind because it might not be applicable now. Like a book, right? You read a book once and you're like, oh, you grab this nugget and you grab this nugget. You read it 3 years later and you're like, oh, I didn't see that because your life experience has changed. Your experience in this platform is going to change. You're going to look back on the first couple of episodes and be like, what were we thinking?
Yeah.
Like I have a podcast and I don't know, I think I just recorded episode 130.
That's
and
amazing. We got a cloud. I would love to come on your podcast.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that'd be
We're going to do
amazing.
that.
I love that. I'd love that.
But like, I go back to 1 or 2 and they're good. And there's sometimes I'm even blown away by my own stuff and that will happen too. But you go, oh, I'm so glad I changed that. And oh, I'm so glad I changed that. So it's about being adaptable.
I love it.
It's really about being adaptable and not being so precious with things. Letting have like, you want to hold on to it because it's important to you.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're going all in on it, but have a loose grip on it because that way you can have fun with it.
We're having fun. That's true.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, bro.
Have a loose grip on it. You like that?
Yeah,
We're getting
I
all
do.
kinds of
I do.
quotes today.
Every time somebody gives that kind of analogy, I think about fishing. Like,
Yeah.
try to pull a fish in the boat. If you grip the fish too tight, it goes,
Yeah.
slips out of your hands and ends
Yeah.
up back in the water.
Do you fish a lot?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's kind
I
of
like
golf.
to.
I
But
was like, wait, okay.
I like to, but
I was a kid at the golf because good golfers, which I'm not, they always say when you grip the club, if you're it's like toothpaste. It's
Interesting.
think of it like toothpaste. You can't grip it too hard. So it's the same thing with. I've always thought projects. Sometimes when you're holding on too tight, my dad used to call it try too hard.
Yeah.
When you're trying too hard, you just got to just let it roll.
I mean, you think about when you're holding on to something, you're tense.
Yeah.
And so like your whole body just
Yeah.
gets really rigid and tense, and you can only do that for so long.
See, I just relaxed my whole body when you
Yeah,
said that.
exactly. Like,
Yeah, I literally just did. My feet,
Om.
because I do that. I carry my tension is always in my feet. Even when I speak, my feet are always hurt at the end of the day of a speech because I hold my tension. My nerves is in my
Interesting.
toes. So like right now, if I pull them up, you can see my toes are like that. And it's not the nerves. I've always channeled my energy down to my feet.
Okay.
But when you just said that, I just relaxed.
yeah, and it's just
So
it's
we
as
gotta have
simple
you
as you
around
take
more
like
often.
take a deep breath and like push your shoulders down.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I love it.
I had you in my mind because we have a big dry erase board with people that we want to have
Yep.
on. So Monica helps me too. Oh, what about so-and-so? What about, she'll have a random thought. She'll text me. So last month, I'm like, okay, the next one, definitely Pamela. And then, so when the dates didn't quite work out, I thought, well, what if she could come in the next day? So you did. You pivoted to today. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
doing that. I know you had an
Absolutely.
appointment today. So, and you meet new friends, hopefully. So we'll be pushing this out next month and we'll continue this conversation for
Love
sure.
it,
So
yeah.
there we go. Another episode, Pamela Hughes, my man, Scott Leese. That's one in the can, baby. Thanks so much for coming on. And what's your story? We'll see you on the next episode.